You know you just did something big when even the cleanup after you're all done takes a long time, but we made it here in the end, and this was really an experience. Now buckle up, because the story of how I got here is quite the tale. Now I don't personally have anything against TNT dupers, which I guess is obvious considering I've already used at least one for our nether tree farm. But I still made a goal for myself that I would clear all of this out without any duping. And on the one hand, I'm glad I did it, because when you play in a single player world for a long enough time, it can sometimes be the little challenges you give yourself that give you the motivation to keep going. However, I really wish I'd been a little bit smarter about how I went about doing it. You see, instead of taking the 2 to 3 minutes of calculating it would have taken to figure out roughly how much TNT I would need, I decided to just gather what I imagined was a lot and see what happened. And it turned out that my inexperience with carpet bombing on this scale meant that my imagination was sorely lacking. I got about 10 stacks or so of TNT from my gas farm and started going at it. I didn't really know what method I was going to use in the beginning, so I just kind of did the good old TNT dirt stacking method, which ended up getting me killed, as you might have seen in the previous episode. But aside from getting me killed, it also didn't really get me all that far, and the TNT I'd gathered was nowhere near enough, so I decided to make a creeper farm. And now I should preface this by saying that my motto with farms, at least those that are close to my base, is to not really worry too much about speed and efficiency and just let them work in the background. And I mean, up till now this has served me really well with stuff like my iron and bamboo and bone meal farms. But what I failed to consider was that I needed gunpowder right now and I wouldn't have time to stockpile it up before getting started. And so began what I've dubbed the week of Minecraft running in the background of my computer for literally an entire week while I wait for gunpowder to accumulate. I didn't make a big farm and it was slow going. I did some exploding as I went, trying out different methods. I pretty quickly ditched the stacking method after dying and moved on to placing and igniting the TNT, which was better, but still kind of slow, so I upgraded to the legendary minecart method that I invented, which was honestly a lot of fun, but ultimately still way too inefficient. I AFK'd for another day, mined some more sand, and decided to go all in on dispensers and redstone. Now I won't bore you with the days of AFKing, the tiny upgrades to the creeper farm, the mining of more sand, the more AFKing, the lighting up caves to increase spawn rates and finding a glitched enderman, the AFKing, the bigger upgrades, the mining of more sand, the crafting of TNT, the even more AFKing, the waking up in the middle of the night wondering if I would ever be able to turn off Minecraft and move on with my life, but then I was finally finished. All in all, I crafted just under 10,000 blocks of TNT, which meant about 50,000 gunpowder and 40,000 sand, but it was totally worth it. And I think the best way to really comprehend how absolutely gigantic this room is to try to fly up. We could just barely make... Oh, I missed it. That's embarrassing. We can just barely make it to the top with one rocket, but just look at this. I mean, we can fly however we want, and there is absolutely no problem in here. Just use rockets, dive bomb. This place is massive. Now, I'll bet you're wondering why I made this. And the truth is 90% I did it just because I thought it'd be really cool, and it was cool. But I've also got a really cool plan for this room. Just kill this guy real fast. So this giant cavern, it opens up. You can just barely see it here at the top. Actually, you can't really see it at all, but you can kind of see the amethyst, and then you can climb up here. And right here, this is where our cave is, or where the very end of our cave comes out. And while I was making that second cavern, I just thought it'd be really, really cool if you were walking down this cave system and you just encountered something gigantic. And now that I think about it, I think the first seed of the idea came when I was making the other side, because if we come back up here over to the other side of the cave, yeah, I got a villager problem. I'll talk about that later. But if we come to the other side of the cave and all the way to the end, you can see we've got this big, well, it doesn't look so big now, but at the time it was a pretty big cave. And I wanted to do something kind of similar on the other side, but much bigger and also much more man-made, because ultimately my plan is to turn this giant cavern into a massive underground ruined temple. And I'm so excited for it. I'm just absolutely can't wait, because I've got some super cool plans for it. But before I do that, I just want to go back upstairs. Well, I said upstairs, but you know, above ground, and show you in detail some of the stuff that I did up there. This is the gunpowder farm and the extra cats that I bred to make it work. And all in all, I think I've got 4 layers in here. And this is all a design that I got from another YouTuber called Blaze Dude. It's just a really, really simple creeper farm that you just, I could throw it together in just a few minutes. And like I said earlier, it works really, really well, but it's not some super heavy duty gunpowder farm. And the amount of AFKing that I did over the last week is just, it's absolutely insane. I know I said it once, but I think I only turned off Minecraft like 1 time for an entire week. Just to give you some idea, this farm, it broke. And I was a little bit curious why it might have broken until I walked up here and I saw this. There are so many villagers in here. Just so many villagers. There's more over there, and like I said, there's more down here. Yep. There's villagers everywhere, and this is all because if we come over here, where the villagers come out of my villager breeder down here, you'll see that I left just one tiny little, oh, there's more villagers. More villagers, yep. You'll see I left this open. I usually keep this closed, or I close this off, like put some blocks here, but I must have forgot to do that this time, and there are just so many villagers. And it's not just there. There's a villager over here. There's one that somehow got stuck up here on this wall that I haven't finished. There's villagers stuck over here by the watermill, and there's even a sheep that wandered out here into the middle of our nether tree farm. That doesn't look like a very safe place to be. Well, unbelievably, I guess that is a safe place. I guess you live here now. But something just has to be done with all these villagers. There's no way. We'll have to think of something humane, some way that we can, I don't know, just find a way to get them to die without making them suffer, you know, because I wouldn't want to cause any unnecessary suffering. And just like that, the cycle of life continues. Welcome home, little buddy. And I think the reason this isn't working is because all these dispensers, normally this system, it automatically replaces all of the bone meal that it uses, but I'm guessing, I don't know if this is true, but I'm guessing that maybe the villagers picked up bone meal. Okay, I turned down the sounds because it's super annoying, but I finally figured out what's wrong. This took me so long to figure out. But you see this composter here? It only activates this comparator if it has stuff already in it. You can see it's, well, actually you can't really see. You can see there's like some stuff in there. The water wasn't turning on and off like it was supposed to because I guess one of the villagers somehow put something into the composter and that must have made it like fill up completely and yeah, broke the machine. But now it seems to be running properly. So let's just leave this alone and get back to work. I've got something really, really exciting planned, and I just absolutely cannot wait for you guys to see it. So let's get to building. Isn't this just insane? I just can't believe it. I've always felt a little bit self-conscious about my ability to build animals and, you know, like non-structure sort of like what organic structures and stuff like that. Stuff that looks like an animal or a person. I just have never really felt like that's my strong suit. But this thing, this just looks insane. I'm just so proud of it. So my intention for this was actually to make it into like a dragon skull, and you know, we'd have the rest of the skeleton like kind of around the room. And I think I might still do that in the future. But as I was building this, I went through a lot of iterations on this because, well, like I said, I'm not super good at this. So this took me a lot of practice. Like, so much practice and so many different, I don't know, versions of it that just didn't look quite right or felt a little bit off, or the angles were wrong. There just so many different things. But as I was making it, I saw it was just starting to look more and more like a T-Rex skull. And well, I'm really happy with that. I think it looks really cool. And before anybody says it, I know that T-Rex skulls don't actually look like this. I took a lot of artistic liberties, you know, with like the eyebrow sort of things, and you know, kind of the jaw structure and stuff like that. I know that that's not how a skull works, but I mean, can you blame me? It just looks so cool, especially once I got the shading in there with like the spruce and the oak, and there's like a couple areas with birch and stuff like that, just to give it a little bit of shading. And I think it's really highlighted in such a dark room, because eventually we're not going to have all this torch spam everywhere. We're going to have slightly more, I don't know, what do I want to say, like ominous lighting, I guess. We're just gonna have just enough light that it'll keep mobs from spawning. Like that's kind of the big thing. But yeah, I love it. One thing that actually helped a lot was I put a little bit of glowstone right underneath the top of the skull, like right up there, and then another one down there, just to kind of emphasize the eye holes and the nose holes. This needs to be stripped, or maybe I just placed a block in the wrong spot. I'm not entirely sure. That actually brings me to my next point. This was a really complicated build, and typically when I do things, I will make up a sort of structure in a creative world, and then when I come over here, I'll remake it, but usually it's a little bit different, typically improved from the creative version that I made. So I kind of look at the creative version as like a first run, which I can then improve upon later. But with this one, it was too complicated, and I was so happy with how it turned out. I just wanted that exact thing in here. And so I actually ended up getting Light Matica and using that to make it, which was a really interesting experience. I've never used that before. It was almost just completely necessary for this kind of thing. And yeah, I'm so happy with how it turned out. Enough rambling. This thing is gonna actually have a room behind it, and I'm not gonna get to that in this episode because, well, I've already got a lot done, and I do not have time to do anything more. But we're gonna have a big room behind this, so this is gonna be like kind of an entrance area. You're gonna be able to walk up here, and we'll go into a small, probably gonna be a smaller room. And that actually brings me to the whole reason that I initially made this massive cavern in the first place. So if everything goes to plan, I'm gonna be updating to 1.21 after this episode. So we're gonna be doing, you know, all 121 stuff in the next episode. Really not too much. I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm not like super into the trial chambers. I might mess around with it just a tiny bit, but it's not really my cup of tea. I'm more focused on like the new blocks and like the new redstone. Like I'm really excited to go through and hook up all my farms to like auto crafters and stuff like that. I'm really excited for that. So we're probably going to be doing a lot of redstone in the next episode, especially here over on the other side of the cavern, right over here, where we're going to be creating a little extension. I think it's going to be right here, where we're going to go in there and we're going to have a big room with all of our storage for all of our farms, and it's going to be really nice. All automatically set up with auto crafters and shulker box loaders, and I am so excited for that, because you can't comprehend how frustrating it is at this point to go through and auto craft all these melons and then run over here and craft all the iron into blocks and then place it into here. Bone meal's another big one, and actually, to be honest, the biggest one is probably this thing right here. The honey farm is just such a pain, because if I don't keep swapping out the honey bottles and then replacing them back into here, then eventually it just stops working, and well, that's just not cool. So we're gonna go in here, we're gonna get auto crafters all set up, we're gonna get a bottle recycling system all put in there, and it's gonna be amazing. Okay, but that tangent aside, we have got something really cool. If I can do this without dying. Oh, that's perfect. We're going to 121, but there's something that I often do as we go into the new updates because I like to stay in the same world for a really, really long time. So I imagine we're going to be in this world for at least several updates after this one. And kind of the biggest problem with that is that you explore all the regions around the area, and well, that makes it so that when we get new biomes, we get new blocks, we get new, I don't know, structures like the trial chambers, it makes it so that it's really, really hard. You got to go really far to find them. So what I'm going to be making behind here is actually going to be a sort of teleportation room. I'm going to have like a little space for each update that comes. So we're going to have like a little 1.21 section in here, and then eventually once 22 and you know all those come out, we'll have separate sections for those as well. And then we're just going to have a command block, and I know it's not super survival, but it's just kind of how I like to do things. We're going to have like a command block that'll take us really, really far away, and that way we can have this connection between all these areas without having to make any crazy long nether tunnels, and it just makes things more convenient. And then once we go over to the 1.21 section, we're going to be able to build all sorts of new things in a brand new style, because this whole area, we're really, really East Asian inspired, and I really like everything we're doing over here. I've still got lots more plans. We're not even remotely close to being done with this. I still want to make like a city over there, and well, and we've got this project that we've been working on for a really long time over here as well. So we've got all sorts of stuff that we've still got to do over here. But eventually I want the opportunity to have a totally different area that's totally away from here, where we can start building in like a brand new, really cool new style. I don't know what it's going to be. If you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear any of those in the comments. Like, you know, what sort of styles do you want to see me building in as we finish up this area and go on to the next, or maybe we even work on them simultaneously. We'll just see how things go. But that's all I've got for you today. This has been quite the episode. I'm so happy with all the progress that we made, this gigantic hole, and then our T-Rex skull over here. I just really could not be any more pleased with how everything turned out. But before I go, I just want to say a real quick thank you to everybody who's subscribed or liked the video or even just clicked on it. I'm just, yeah, I don't really know what to say. I'm just so honored that you all came here and clicked on my video and watched it. I'm just absolutely floored with all of the support you guys have been giving me. In the past week, I've got more views that I think my entire channel had gotten over the past like 6 months or something like that, all in just one video. And I just gotta say thank you. Just that feeling of waking up one morning and seeing that my video had 400 views, and then the next day it had like 600, and it just kept going up day after day. I'm gonna have to deal with that zombie, but I don't really want to deal with him right now, so I'm gonna keep walking this way. But thank you so much. I just, yeah, that's really all I wanted to say. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.